Hello and welcome to episode 70 of the Owners Club. I own the moment. This is not TJ's voice. We lost TJ at episode 69. We're not really sure what happened. He's feeling under the weather. So when the boss is away, the kids will play. Bachman, how are you doing?
It is Ryder Cup week. We got our 2016 Ryder Cup gear. And I'm just so pumped to root on America. One of my absolute favorite sporting events, both to go to and to watch. So
it is bittersweet because, as you know, we had tickets to this year's Ryder Cup. We had a place picked out above a bar, not too far away. It was all planned out, and then COVID just kept getting in the way and things got a little tricky and we had to cancel it and we had to be here for the Owners Club, and it's okay. I will be sporting this all weekend, not taking it off, cheering on our boys, bringing home that cup.
Yeah, and I think you may have a little picture for the crowds. Tease the 2016 Ryder Cup.
Oh, let's see. Those were fun times. Oh, where are we? Let's see. It was, I don't know. For anyone who has never been, it is top 3 sporting event experience. Even if you're not a golf fan, it doesn't matter because it is just a absolute ridiculous time. People cheering. I remember we had 10,000 people singing the national anthem as Phil Mickelson was walking up on the par 3. I remember you've got some of the players that apparently we weren't being loud enough cheering us on. Like, it was just a raucous experience. You can see the Pounder America-themed Budweiser beers, product placement there. We'll take that profit later on. Gosh, it was a great time. What do you remember?
I think my favorite, not too rude insult of the entire weekend was Matthew Fitzpatrick is sitting about 10 yards in front of us on 17 green. I think it was 17 green. And somebody just yells as he's watching one of his teammates get ready to putt, "Did your mommy and he was eating a sandwich, and somebody yells, "Did your mommy cut the crusts off that for you?" And it was just absolutely I lost it. I mean, lots of people, unfortunately, can be a little over the top. That was just clever and excellent. So
it was great. He loved it too. like, because it was literally like in between putts or whatever, like not distracting a golf, but definitely in between. And he just starts like chucking, but he's like keeping it's like, shh. Oh, he did look like he was 17 and he played phenomenal. I believe that was in the match play. He just put on a show. But yeah. Oh, fun times. But all right. What are we actually here for? We're here for the Owners Club. We're here for football. We're here for NFTs. Even though I missed out on the Tiger Woods NFT, it really feels like a lot of golf theme this week. But what about you? Did you get anything there? Did you have any luck?
Not in the first two drops, but they kind of broke it up. I'm interested to hear if there's any rationale that we're going to learn behind that with the drops not being 2 a day as opposed to 5 and 5. So
my guess is that a lot of people like me, as the night went on, just kind of started forgetting about it, and they probably saw like turnout decreased as the night went on. I don't know. That's at least my reasoning, but that's okay. Okay. So we've got a busy agenda for tonight. What are we going to do? We'll talk about the pre-order. We know a lot of excitement coming around that. We've got some updates there we can deliver. We'll review last week, take a look at how our lineup did, take a look at how some of the winners did. Let's see. We'll talk about week 3. We'll put some of your best plays, some of my best plays, where I think the opportunity is, find those contrarian ones, take our 5 jokers and create that optimal lineup. And spoiler, there might be a little disagreement here, but that's okay. That's okay. And then we'll end it with the big announcement. You see that tweet? I don't think I even told you about it before that tweet.
No, I haven't seen it.
1,000 cards might be giving away. 1,000. So we'll go into the details there. I'm excited, but let's start things off. Okay. Bach, you've been busy. Marketplace has been going well. A lot of activity there, but we also know that people who maybe don't have as much NFT crypto experience, it's kind of a bit of a learning curve. And eventually we're still working towards, we're going to have a USD, a credit card, PayPal based marketplace. It's still going to take a few weeks because there's a lot of behind the scene things with regards to KYC and USDC linking that needs to happen. But for now, there's still a lot of activity, but there's definitely a bit of a learning curve. And so you've put together some materials to help people, but can you kind of give a high level, maybe some of the mistakes you've been seeing or some of the challenges and where people can go to get more information?
Yeah, I mean, Marketplace has been live for like 5 days since last Saturday. We've already seen over 1,500 sales in the marketplace, tons of activity, tons of people obviously improving their squads, speculating on the future, both what we think is coming from from a like team improving over the season or optimizing for schedule, but also some of the upcoming new contests that we teased in the announcement earlier this week. And so with that, right, lots of people in the marketplace, and then a few people who are struggling. So we know that crypto adoption and like the steps to get into the marketplace right now are unfamiliar to some of our user base. And so we've done a couple of things. The first one, and I'm just going to share my screen here. The first one that we've done is we've just put together a marketplace getting started guide. So this is on our Discord. If you're in the Discord, there's a channel over here, Marketplace Getting Started. And this is evolving. What we have right now is just kind of the high level steps. I'm not going to read through it on the podcast, but if you're not in the Discord, you need to get in the Discord because there's tons of giveaways, there's tons of announcements, et cetera, that you can see. If you are in the Discord and getting started on the marketplace has been a little bit difficult for you, start with this tab. You'll see the steps that you'll see here. There's also a marketplace help channel that we have here in the general admission section. So even if you don't have any cards yet and are just looking to get started on TOC, go to Marketplace Help, ask questions. We've seen a ton of users in the community learning about this and being able to help people through it. Scott, our lead engineer, is in there. It feels like 24/7. I don't know when the man sleeps, answering questions. I'll be in there. Coop's in there. We're all trying to help people get onboarded to the marketplace. There's a couple things that are tripping people up in terms of like getting on the right network, but definitely start with that Marketplace Getting Started guide. And if you're having further issues, get into that Marketplace Help channel, ask questions. Lots of people have already figured it out, and they want you in that marketplace even more than you want to be there. So they'll be happy to help get you there.
I like it. Very, very helpful news. And as Bach said, leading from the top, There is zero reason not to be in the Discord. And I know we're probably preaching to the choir here with the people who are joining the show. We're obviously in the Discord too. But we have what? And Coop, I know you probably keep tabs, but we got what? Maybe about 1,200, 1,500 owners in total right now in the Owners Club. But when we talked about the giveaway for tomorrow night with regards to the Squares game, I think last I saw there were only like 600 or so entries. So big opportunity. If you're not already, there's lots of giveaways being done. Even if you're not one who's going to be the most social and chatting in the Discord, it's 100% worth joining just to keep tabs on the information, the announcements from a help, from an education, as well as that's where all the giveaways are being planned. So highly recommend being there. Bachman, that information is very helpful. Thank you for that.
One last plug on the Discord. Actually, two last plugs. One for the Discord. If you are in the Discord and you haven't validated your Owners Club role, make sure to do that. Check in at the Will Call channel to join. There's a bunch of people who are owners and who are talking in the Discord all the time who haven't validated that role. The giveaways are exclusive to owners, need to have the Owners Club role in the Discord. So if you haven't done it yet, you should do it. You're just missing out on good opportunities. The other plug is somebody's got to tell you guys to like the stream. If we get more likes this week than when TJ's here, then I get to keep my job. And that is going to be really cool for me since I get paid nothing. So,
as everyone knows, I'm always willing to double Bach's salary. Okay. I'm hot, Bach. I'm taking this off.
All right.
Yeah. A little too hot. Okay. So let's move on. Bach, give me a recap. What happened in week 2?
Yeah, absolutely crazy. So let me just pull up the leaderboard here. We can just take a quick look. So big shout out to Big Mo, who took down the main event. I can't talk and share.
That's okay.
At the same
so
time.
Yeah, Big Mo took it down. I did see, I think it was with a late Sunday night push with the Kansas City tight ends. Yeah. Obviously putting up a lot of there, and then managed to survive that 4 touchdown performance by Aaron Jones and the Green Bay running backs. Really put in a charge, but congrats to Big Mo. Excited to see you in Miami.
Yeah, congrats to Big Mo. I mean, pretty crazy. What we saw was, similar to last week, winning lineups: Arizona QB, Cleveland running back, Kansas City tight ends. I think Tampa Bay tight end may have been optimal in week 1. We can jump back to it. Now Kansas City tight end was in the winning lineup. So pretty crazy so far.
I think Tampa Bay may have scored by like a less than a point, but in that last one, the defense, they had an extra point or 2 advantage. But yeah.
So, and Seattle wide receivers has crushed 2 weeks in a row. Like, I don't think that we would expect all of this to happen every week, but certainly if you've got Arizona cards, if you've got Cleveland cards, if you've got Seattle cards, you've bought into, and obviously Kansas City cards, you've bought into offenses that are going to be pretty good. We knew that going in. It's not going to win every week, but you got to be feeling pretty good. Interestingly, on the side hustle, we almost had a repeat Arizona stack win. They came in tied for second, but the winning lineup was actually a wide receiver running back stack. And, Justin, I always know I hate to give you kudos, but kudos to you in terms of thinking about like the scoring here and how do we make the scoring such that the QB wide receiver stacks aren't always going to win, and making sure that we've got that by doing, the running back, no PPR, changing up some of the point structure. We see a wide receiver and a running back win. Now, still a game stack in this case, right? So opportunity to get contrarian. But it'll be interesting to see the side hustle as we get a couple more weeks of data. What is going to win? Yeah.
And I think what's interesting as well here, and kind of throw a little alpha out there, but you see 13, I'm trying to do a quick math, but 13 people played the Arizona QB, Arizona wide receiver stack. Fusili, me, Lemmings at the top, like their combo serial numbers, 35, 50, that's fantastic. I'm sure Fusili pretty much knew that, hey, like if his ends up winning, if that's a 1, he's probably going to have the lowest stack. Anyone else below that needs to start thinking about like, hey, if I'm Lemmings.
Well, Zone had 16.
Because that's the Joker. Okay,
yeah,
so there you go. But I guess that'll move around a little because the Joker could obviously change. But I guess what I'm getting at is if you're not having that lowest combination, maybe it needs to start getting some strategy because, hey, you might say like, okay, I still got like, $150 if I was one of the lower ones, which is still fantastic. But the thing is, now you're playing for upside, where your upside is pretty much never going to be more than 150, maybe 350 if you're one of those lower ones. And that's where it makes sense either to do one of two things. One is maybe go to the marketplace and try to level up and get that lower serial number to make yours stronger. That's hard if your total is 445, but maybe if you've got the 69 or the 50, you can't do 69, let that be. But the 50, maybe it might make sense for you to kind of pay that upgrade. Something worth considering there. For the others, it may make sense to start figuring out, okay, how do I maybe go with that QB and opposing wide receivers kind of stack, or mix it up a little? Because at the end of the day, that 1,500 to 750, that's a decent little level up. And if you're one of the ones with the lower or the higher, combined for your serials, that first place is just not really going to be in play when you have such a chalky stack.
Yeah. And interestingly, you look down here, right? Arizona, Tampa Bay, just a couple points off, 2 people played it. So I think it just continues to highlight the game theory involved in the side hustle entries and figuring out how do you optimize both total points, but also total payout if that hits.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. We got a couple questions. Let's throw a Justin Alvey question out here just to get a little discussion. But if you only bought one pack, what one move do you think most people should make on the secondary market? My thought is, if you only bought one pack, you probably maybe have one, a couple, maybe one, maybe two, maybe a couple decent cards. I'm not sure that going and saying, hey, I'm going to go buy this one expensive card is going to be my best move. It's still going to be an uphill battle. Rather, and I know you asked for one move, but I'm still going to combine these and call it one move. I would rather be thinking about, okay, who are the, position groups, those maybe position teams that people are low on for whatever reason that we still think can break out. I know our, Waz, who is one of the top 10 fantasy projection analysts each year, knows his football. He's been talking in the Discord that, hey, he saw that the New York Giants tight ends are extremely undervalued. He was picking them up off the secondary market for less than $20 because they've done nothing so far because Evan Ingram hasn't played. When Evan Ingram starts playing, and they still have Kyle Rudolph, so now you're turning into one of those teams that has multiple tight ends that could come into play. Are they going to become the number 1, 2, 3 tight end? I don't know, probably not. But do they have the opportunity to have those kind of weeks occasionally? I think definitely. And what are you doing? You're getting it at a very cheap price. So I'd say my move would be, rather than trying to, hey, go buy one expensive card to really try to perfect my team, I would say, hey, let me go more from a volume place. Maybe I'm making bets, because 2 things happen there. One is maybe those actually, you get the opportunity to play good matchups, put those in, and you have a good week. Or this now becomes a leveling up exercise. And I think, hey, Waz, maybe I think he bought 6 or 7 of those New York Giant tight ends. Well, if they actually start doing well in a couple weeks, maybe he has the opportunity to flip them. Now you got some more TOC balance in your wallet. And hey, maybe in a couple weeks, you'll be able to actually use that in the marketplace to then get another upgrade.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. Try to find a kind of an underappreciated asset we've been talking about the whole time. The other thing I would just recommend is, figure out how you can stack what you do have, how you can design a script for what you do have to hit. And so, maybe in week 4, 3 of your guys or your quarterback and your running back are playing against each other, and they're not projected to be the absolute top plays, right? But if you go get that wide receiver group for that quarterback and that game kind of goes off script, then all of a sudden you can have a good week again, build some TOC balance, and then figure out how you want to keep leveling up.
Completely agree. Okay. Any other questions that we should run by, or we can kind of jump in?
I'm seeing in the Discord, I'll just pop it up real quick. We just got some run it back news.
Yeah, no, don't put that on the screen. I think Casey's fooling us. I think it's WNBA. I don't think it's new. NBA too, Poker Brother?
Let's run it back.
Yeah, I think right now. But I think the news that's been dropping is just more information on the WNBA. We already tweeted that, Casey. We appreciate you, but you got me distracted too. I thought it was going to be NBA too. Is today the last day of summer? I know that was leading us a little confusion because there was going to be so much during Top Shot, but it's okay. What about our optimal lineup? How did our 5 jokers do last week, Bach? I think we did a little better than week
Our 5 jokers did really good last week. Our optimal lineup after the first week where we just like completely whiffed on the cash line. So I don't have the slide up, but last week we had KC QB, Cleveland running back, Seattle wide receiver, KC tight end, and Denver defense. We would have cashed for we would have gotten a total of 145, so $500 cash. Interestingly, 3 people did play that exact lineup. So, kudos to them. A nice little hit, tied for 33rd. So pretty awesome result. Still not taking it down, just going to show that even when you have no restrictions on your card, it's still pretty random. But we would have had a good week.
Good week. Congrats to those 3 people who tailed us, putting those lineups in. Strong lineups. I'm sure you probably would have done it even if it wasn't for our show, because those were strong plays nevertheless. And so after a big dud and not even breaking 100, not even cashing in week 1, week 2, putting up a strong performance, we'll see how we do this week. Okay, anything else before we move on to week 3?
No, let's jump into it.
Okay. Let's share some screens. Let's see. Let's get rid of that picture. All right, moving on. Top teams of the week. Bachman, I'm going to start you off with some quarterbacks. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so I'll jump in quarterbacks this week. I did not put Arizona on here, obviously, and given how hot they've started, that could be an oversight. Everyone's going to play them, so there's a little bit of contrarianism there. But I think for my top quarterbacks of the week, and again, in no particular order on the top 3, but we've got Seattle. They're the 3rd highest total of the week. It's projected to be a close game. I think right now the line is about 2. They're 2-point favorites right now. So 3rd highest total of the week, projected to be a close game. And Minnesota has been absolutely torched the first 2 weeks of the season. So expecting that to probably continue this week. And Seattle, they definitely got the running backs involved last week, but they're still really high in terms of pass rate over expectation on the season. So, I'm expecting them to have a great week this week. Kansas City, it's going to be a rare week where we don't see them on this list. They still have the highest total. Their running game has been absolutely non-existent over the first couple of weeks of the season. Their pass rate over expectation is still super high, and pass rate over expectation is just a metric from one of the established the run guys that says, league average in the situations offensively that they're in, how often do they pass? The more, the better for QBs. And so, both of these teams have super high pass rate over expectation so far this year. The 3rd, Tampa Bay, they've got the 5th highest total on the board, but it's projected to be a close game, kind of a shootout with Los Angeles, and Tampa Bay has the highest pass rate over expectation in the league by quite a bit. Their pass rate over expectation, I think, was close to double what we saw in the second highest team. Not close to double, but about 50% higher than the next team. So they're passing all the time. Brady's clearly just absolutely obliterating everyone. And then for the kind of the sleeper team this week, you've got the Los Angeles Lightning Bolts. You see they're playing Kansas City. That game's projected to be a shootout. Highest total on the board by a couple of points. Second highest total on the board. I forgot Tampa Bay, Los Angeles is higher, but second highest total on the board. And I don't think a lot of people are going to be on them this week because Justin Herbert threw up such a big dud in a smash spot last week. But definitely could see them rebounding. And if they're trailing and they're projected to be trailing by about 7, they're going to be throwing a ton. And he's still talented. They still have a great wide receiver group. So I think that they've got a good chance to outperform expectations this week.
I like it. No Arizona card is shocking. It's been extremely impressive what Kyler's been able to do. Feels like we may have a little of what Lamar did 2 years ago, what Mahomes has done now almost twice. It's going to be crazy to see if Kyler can continue to keep this up. That offensive line seems, the deficiencies they had in the past seems to be working now. And, Kyler, it may just be like veteran, playing together for so long, understanding how to read that line, how to kind of be mobile and stuff. But that's a tough one. Obviously, I'd still put that up there. You're talking a lot about Passover expectation. Do you know who the number 2 team is, if I'm not mistaken? Is it Las Vegas?
Excuse me, Las Vegas. Used to be Oakland.
Las Vegas Raiders as the number 2 passing over expectation team. Now, granted, I don't think they've been ahead by more than 3 points for them in any of these games, or at least for most time. So we haven't seen John Gruden really pound that rock with, from a running back stance. But some surprises there. So that might even be like a. What was that?
You would have done really well. You would have done really well playing the Oakland QB the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, especially Las Vegas QB. He might have even done better.
Yeah, gosh. My only thought on Kyler real quick, like they're projected to be 7. They're projected to win by 7.5. And they do, again, this is one metric. It's not the end all be all. They're still going to be good, but like their pass rate over expectations only just a little bit above the league average. So when they've been in situations where you would expect them to run the ball, they've ran the ball. They're going to be in a game flow where you're expected to run the ball. Like I looked back at that box score from week 1 where they put up a ton of points in a blowout, and they just kept getting the ball on like the 25-yard line and then getting to 3rd and long and Kyler throwing touchdowns. So, again, like I wouldn't not play them if I had them, but I do think that they're not going to continue to just absolutely scorched earth like they have the first 2 games.
Yeah. And it's interesting because is it a new maybe time and a new time, things are changing in the NFL, but or maybe it's just kind of early in the season and teams just want to get clicking. But that whole idea about being ahead a bunch and then like slowing things down just doesn't seem to happen. Like we've seen what Tom Brady and the Bucs are doing when they're ahead, they just pass more, they just stay ahead. And wouldn't be surprised if, hey, when you have the level of efficiency that we've seen out of Kyler and them, that even if they're not passing as much as you'd hope, when they are passing, that level of efficiency is fantastic. And Rondale Moore is a beast. He's going to be fun. I think I saw someone say this on Twitter earlier. Sorry for the lack of accreditation, but he is what everyone wanted Laviska to be. Like when he has the ball in his hands, he is just electric. There was, he had that huge play last week that was great, but he also had one that was a little closer to the sideline on the bottom, on the like near side, and pretty much had 2-3 jukes, got around 20 yards from it, but fun team. Okay. But yeah, so I was just going to say, I think Las Vegas could be one of those sleeper ones. And even Minnesota, Kirk Cousins has been doing very well from a passing. If that team needs to pass, I could see that game being a shootout this week as well. Never know.
We'll talk about them in a bit.
Okay. All right. Let's do some running backs here. Starting off, we had Cleveland at the beginning of the year when I was doing it with Levitan. I think I had them as one of my top 3 ones. I don't know if Levitan did. I'm not even sure if Leone had them as one of the top 3. If not, they were very close. But they have really just been fantastic. And we know in games that they are going to be ahead, or at least in it. Like they want to run. That 2-headed attack is extremely efficient. Then you throw in 1-yard runs from, was that the Janovich?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Demetric Felton went off last week.
Just like, yeah. So it's hard to exclude them in games where we think they're going to be, I guess, in it. I don't know. That's going to be a fantastic card all year as long as people stay healthy there. Specifically for this game. Like, it's interesting because they're not a top 10 team in points projection. Chicago is 5th best against the run, but Cleveland's still a 7-point favorite. They're still going to be running, and they still have one of the strongest offensive lines in the league. It's hard to pass up on them. We'll get to whether we think they're the top choice later on, but obviously a very strong one. Now, Tennessee next. It is great to see Tennessee, they were one of the preseason top 3 as well. We knew that because the way that kind of they run it, how much they want to establish it, how much that Derrick Henry just in the second half of games just pounds it. 5.5-point favorite here, likely going to get up against Jacob Eason. I think Tennessee is going to really try to just kind of control this game and just not let it get out of hand. We do know that the Colts have a pretty good secondary and from a defensive standpoint, but I see no reason why Tennessee won't just be able to kind of control the flow of this game when you're assuming Carson Wentz isn't going to play with his 2 sprained ankles.
You can't imagine.
I've got a wife with 1 sprained ankle, and I can't even deal. I cannot imagine how he deals with 2. I love you. Okay. Next up, we got Dallas. Dallas has sneakily turned into a 2-headed monster backfield. Frustrating for many in traditional fantasy. fantastic for people here in the Owners Club. We've been clamoring, we've been hoping for, we've been wanting Tony Pollard to get an increased usage and increased role. We weren't sure if Jerry Jones was going to allow it because of how much they paid Zeke with the contract. But end of the day, we finally had that Tony Pollard breakout game with Zeke still being healthy and in the game. And it went so well. You don't have Michael Gallup because of injury. I'm expecting them to continue to use Pollard a bit more in the passing game. Zeke to get the continued usage that he has. And when you have such a high-powered offense, I mean, hey, they are the 6th highest team point total, 4-point favorite. Dak not running as much either, so I don't think you have as much, just because of that kind of injury. They're trying to keep him a little more protected, so not doing as much on the ground. And, hey, it decreases that risk of kind of a Dak run-in the red zone. Hey, this is a situation where frustrating in other places. In the Owners Club, we love what we're seeing out of the Dallas running backs in that kind of duo attack. And rounding it up with a contrarian play. Melvin Gordon, not exciting, not sexy. Javonte Williams looking great, but not getting the usage. Javonte Williams is 2nd in the league in, I think, missed tackles rate. And I think that's only behind Nick Chubb. And he actually has like 1 more carry than Nick Chubb. So it's not like a small sample size thing. Like Javonte Williams is a beast. When you combine the two, Melvin Gordon getting the passing usage, Melvin Gordon also getting a lot of the rushing usage, and he's been decently efficient so far. But I think most important here is that even though it's not a high point total, they're an 11-point favorite over the Jets. And we've seen what the Jets are doing from a pass-wise. We've seen Zach Wilson have some struggles, just with, passing to his own guys. So we're expecting Denver to have some strong field position throughout this game. We're expecting them to be ahead. I don't think there's any need to kind of air the ball out here when you're playing against the Jets. End of the day, run it, use your running backs, combine them. And I think this is one that could be you're not normally playing the Denver running backs, but this could be a great week to do it.
Yeah, completely agree. At one point last week, Zach Wilson's line was 0 for 2 with 2 picks. So he hadn't not completed a pass, just not to the right team. I think these 3 picks make sense. I'm a little surprised to see Carolina left out. 8-point favorites playing against the team that was the consensus worst roster in the league coming into the week. Obviously, they've got the best talent. Not getting Christian McCaffrey catches hurts, like PPR wise. But I'm still a bit surprised. Like, it's tough to leave them out when they're a big favorite and they're probably going to try to lean on him. But, I think if I had a decision between Dallas and Carolina, I think it'd be a tough one. But, I think these all make sense.
I could see that. And I'm definitely interested to kind of dive into the numbers once we have a larger sample size in those first 2 weeks, because I do have a bit of bias towards, a multiple faceted attack. And without a doubt, like Christian McCaffrey, like he's going to get you 150 yards because that's just what he does with on the ground. And like, that's 15 points. That's great. But then you need to throw in multiple touchdowns, even just to kind of be in contention for these high scores. What we saw, Tennessee was up to about 44 points last week. Cleveland's been hovering around that 40. McCaffrey basically has to do it on his own and on the ground. So we're talking McCaffrey getting 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's 21-36. And that's like a huge game for him, but that's still not the number one of the top. So I think it's definitely in play. But I think it's a little easier for these teams that have kind of a bit more spread out or just heavy focus on the run to really get there. But I can't really get too upset if you're playing the Carolina running backs though.
Yeah, completely agree.
All right, let's move over. Let's get some wide receivers.
Wide receivers. All right. Well, we already touched on Seattle's Seattle quarterback. I think for the same reason, the Seattle wide receivers. I think high total, close game. Opponent has been torched by wide receivers, and to add on to all of that, they've got a pretty narrow target tree. Their tight ends. They had a tight end grab a touchdown in week 1, but they did absolutely nothing last week. At the tight end position. And I think that, if this game is as competitive as they expect it to be, Seattle is actually not super high in pass rate over expectation. But again, if this game is competitive as they expect it to be, wide receivers are going to do good. Wide receivers are going to do well. The Los Angeles Goats. So we've got them. They've got let me see where my notes here. They've got a high total in the game and a high team total. They're playing a team that is great defensively in general, but especially against the run. And so with their running backs banged up, with their with Tampa Bay being so tough against the run, they're going to air it out. They've been throwing the ball a ton. And again, Tyler Higbee, the tight end there, through 2 weeks has actually had pretty good usage in terms of like snap counts and routes run, but put up absolute duds. And their wide receivers have been carrying the load for that offense through 2 weeks. So I expect them to have a good week. And then the third one, Minnesota, you touched on them earlier from a passing game perspective, but they've been competitive this year. They've thrown the ball well. Dalvin's a bit banged up this week. I mean, he came out of that game twice hurt, and they're saying, like Zimmer's saying, he's fine, but he's not practicing yet. If Dalvin is banged up, I think even more they're going to have to lean on the pass to stay competitive in this game, and I expect them to have some success there. High total, high game total. It's going to be kind of tossing the ball all over. And then from a contrarian play, a team that, again, trying to go a little bit off the board here, but like you'd never think to play, but the New York the New York Blue Men. They've got a relatively high team total for them, 25, which is probably going to be one of the higher numbers they see. Atlanta has been absolutely terrible in all facets of the game this year, but especially against the pass. And New York has not gotten anything out of Saquon yet. They've not gotten anything out of their backup running backs yet. Daniel Jones has actually been decent running the ball, and like the biggest concern for their wide receivers might be that Daniel Jones runs the ball in. But if they do, have to air the ball out in a game that has a decent total and that there is projected to be a close game, I think that they could surprise some people and put up a number that's a little bit bigger than you would expect clicking on the card, because you almost never want to click on a New York card there.
Yeah, really either New York card. All right, what jumps out to me is this Seattle-Minnesota game. And I think this is a great opportunity to do what we've been talking about in the side hustle of playing a QB with opposing wide receivers, because either would be great. Going with the Seattle QB and the Minnesota wide receivers, I think is a phenomenal play to get a little contrarian, and can very easily see that be turning into a blowout. Even a cheaper option of if you've got the Minnesota QB, that's probably not the most expensive thing on the marketplace right now, and pairing that with the Seattle wide receiver. Just a quick review. If there's if it turns into a shootout, you're likely having wide receivers in the opposing team also doing very well. And so this gives you the opportunity to potentially outscore. Maybe, you play, Seattle QBs, and he also ends up throwing one or two to Gerald Everett, or maybe a passing touchdown to Chris Carson. And then you get the Minnesota wide receivers that need to play catch up. And now you've outscored the Seattle wide receivers because some other people stole those points. I think that's a great opportunity to kind of, use that kind of game theory and strategy for the side hustle, or the main event too. Can definitely come into play. Also think it's interesting. Yeah,
we've got the same thing there with Tampa Bay and Los Angeles, right?
Good one.
Playing Tampa Bay's wide receivers is tough. Gronk's had 2 TDs the first 2 weeks, but if Brady has 5 TDs and the Rams are in catch-up mode and passing the ball, their target tree so far has been all wide receivers, right? Pretty reasonable to assume Tampa Bay wins by a bunch, and the Rams wide receivers outscore Tampa Bay's wide receivers.
Yeah. I think what's a little interesting here is when we look at the wide receivers, ignoring your contrarian one, the other 3 really have 2 very strong wide receivers and then a major drop off after that. So with Seattle, our number 3 wide receiver looks like Freddie Swaim or Dwayne Eskridge. With LA, you're looking at like Deshaun Jackson, Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell. Minnesota, you're looking at, I think we're probably talking KJ.
Osborne, yeah.
Yeah. And he had that one big play, but there's just such a huge drop off. And so it's just interesting, such concentrated workloads. But those wide receivers have been, I mean, probably consider them top 14, top 16 wide receivers, all 6 of those. And maybe not Robert Woods, but at least 5 of those 6, definitely the top there.
It's interesting, though, just, you say that, and all 3 of the number 3 wide receivers you listed have had a big touchdown in one of the 2 games this year. Van Jefferson had one in the first game for LA. Freddie Swain had one last game for Seattle. KJ Osborne had one first game for Minnesota. So even without that established third guy, right, they've had bombs that have scored on all 3 teams.
Yep. Very true. Very true. All right. Let's finish with some tight ends here. Starting off, I'm just going to say Kansas City, duh. Doesn't matter who the matchup is. Doesn't matter. Kelsey has been phenomenal. He is probably the number 1 option in that offense. Definitely the most consistent. Even though Tyreek had those 17 targets week 1, we then see week 2 where it just doesn't do as much. But Kelsey just keeps that consistency. 3-4 touchdowns right now. He's just been phenomenal. You got that card, you're playing it. It's now just a decision of where it's going to be played and what's the rest of the lineup look around it. Tampa, what we have seen out of Gronk, I have full transparency, full honesty say I did not see this coming. After last year, where they kind of kept him in bubble wrap throughout the year, planning for the playoffs, another year where Tampa's probably the favorite. They're the favorite out of the NFC to go to the Super Bowl, arguably the kind of Super Bowl favorite. Wouldn't think that they'd really be jeopardizing and kind of using Gronk as they are. 4 touchdowns in the first 2 games. Even in this most recent game, he only ran a route on 60% of the snaps, but when he was running those routes, he was highly utilized. So they still want to use him as a blocker. They're still using him but his role is fantastic. And then we saw O.J. Howard. I think he had a catch for 21 yards. Cameron Brate's still playing some role. So you still get those kind of peripheral ones. And even though I don't expect them to have huge breakouts, it's kind of like a bit of a cushion of, hey, you're a little more protected from any kind of an injury risk there. And you do have that opportunity to get another sneaky touchdown with those other 2 guys. From a matchup wise, as we said, going against those LA Goats, just going to be a great matchup, going to be a shootout. Probably the game I am most excited for, even removing my Tampa bias, just because I think that's going to be. I was shocked to see that that Tampa started the game as a 2-point underdog. However, I think since they've moved to about a point favorite.
Yeah, which is a lot of line movement.
Yeah, that is. And maybe there's some, I don't know, Antonio Brown has some potential COVID risk. He has been vaxxed, so all he needs is 2 negatives to still play, but definitely looking at the clock there. Darrell Henderson banged up. Maybe we see a Sony Michel, maybe a Jake Funk game. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. All right. Now we're going to, this was a tough one, but George Kittle in San Francisco. George Kittle has not done what you've expected out of someone who's been drafted in fantasy as the number 3 tight end for the year. Now, it's not his fault. He still has an amazing talent, still probably the most athletic and gifted and talented tight end in the league, but they just haven't needed to use him. Debo's been kind of the number 1 receiving threat, and then there's just been a lot down on the ground. Challenge this week are 2 things. One is I don't think they have anyone healthy on their roster from a running back. Everyone is dinged up. Maybe, I think JaMychal Hasty's out. We already know with Trey Sermon, obviously the Raheem from before. So you may only have 1 guy left on there. How much are they going to be able to run? But the second is you're going against Green Bay in a game that you may have to kind of, might be playing from a little behind. This is the kind of matchup. This is the kind of environment where, yes, it's possible that same thing, and we just don't get that much Kittle, but it's also possible that we get a blowout game out of him. If he can get the volume, it's just has phenomenal upside. I'm still betting on talent here and including them in one of my top 3. And to round them out, Denver. I just realized both of my contrarian plays were Denver. I must really dislike the Jets and have no confidence. Not the Jets. Wait, yeah, is the Jets? Let me make sure. Completely. Yeah, it's the Jets. That's the 11-point game. So what we have here is without Jerry Jeudy, we're getting increased concentration from a targets. Cortland Sutton's obviously emerged as a beast, but we also are seeing 2 tight ends here really coming to play. No offense, amazing talent. It's looked great, But now we also have Albert O, who's getting kind of an increased role here. So I think this is one of those examples where, yes, they're an 11-point favorite. Yes, we may have the situation like I mentioned with running, where with the RBs, where they just run and run and run. But also, I think they might have just a high efficiency, good field position, getting some touchdowns. And when you have two legitimate tight ends that are putting up points, that's why, yes, it's a stretch. It's a contrarian one. But this could be one where, hey, if we see it near the top of the tight ends and at the end, I'll definitely take credit. If not, then I'm just going to say it was contrarian, and it just is what it is.
Yeah, it's the big brain play for sure. Yeah, I think all those make sense. I mean, after the top two, it gets thin. Like, you can make an argument for San Francisco. You can obviously make an argument for Oakland, Las Vegas, and Darren Waller is always going to be a target magnet there. TJ Hawkinson has been awesome so far this year, and Detroit is going to be playing from behind all season. You're going to have to throw the ball to him. So it gets thin. And as we've seen with tight end scoring the first 2 weeks, it doesn't take a whole lot to put up the biggest number. I think the first week was like 22 and this week was like 18 or just shy of 19. So, it only takes a couple of guys to go off or, a touchdown to get the optimal lineup. And also that means that even if you're not optimal, there's opportunity to have to win the tournament without the optimal tight end, because they're just not contributing so far to a huge percentage of the scoring, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. Sam Payne, we are at 17. So that is 17 sips for the word contrarian. Now 18. So for those counting at home, make sure you take your
Are people
drinks.
drinking when we say contrarian? Because if 19. That's the case, I could say contrarian a lot more.
Well, now we're just taking advantage of it. Okay. I feel pretty good about those. I like them. Let's go with some optimal. Bachman, with the boss not feeling well, but the boss not really, being able to make it tonight. You were in charge of creating the optimal lineup. Will be in charge of
critiquing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's start off.
All right. So we'll start Seattle quarterback. Again, I think that they just the total, the concentration, the game environment, how good they've been. I think, I think all the recipe is there, and they haven't quite peaked yet. I think that there's an opportunity here for them to do that.
Okay. I don't hate it. I think I would have gone Kansas City. I think this is the game where we see, I want to say old school Patrick Holmes, but I mean like Patrick Holmes from like the last 2 years or whatever. Highest point total. I don't think they're going to have any interest in using Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't hate your pick at all. I think it's kind of, hey, very close, but I think I would have gone Kansas City, but great pick. I like Seattle. In this game environment. Moving on to running back.
So Cleveland, this was probably the toughest one, the one that I struggled with the most in terms of like who to pick here. I think that there's not, like last week, Cleveland was just an absolute standout play because of the total, because of the opponent. I think this week they're a little bit less of an absolute standout. So I think that they were still my favorite, just given game environment, given some of the injuries they're having in the wide receiver core, given everything. But I think that, this was the toughest one for me.
No, I think that's fair. And I mean, as I mentioned earlier, Chicago top 5 against the run. This isn't I think they're only like top 10 in projected points and such, but they are a 7-point favorite. We know how much they want to run on the ground. Maybe I would have gone Tennessee. I don't know. Either way, it's tough. Cleveland is a very solid choice. Wouldn't be surprised if they end up at the top.
Yeah. Wide receiver, going LA. And I just think that this game environment sets up for them to have to pass the ball so much. Even if Tyler Higbee gets a little bit more involved, like running back, they're injured at running back. They're going against Tampa Bay. They're going to be trailing. They're going to be throwing the ball a ton. And we've seen that Tampa Bay's defense, while good against the run, was vulnerable in week 1 to the pass. I think that LA has shown that they have the talent at quarterback now with Stafford and the wide receiver to take advantage.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard to run against Tampa. You expect them just to be airing it out. It's interesting because I really like, Tampa from a situation here, but I think for LA to kind of finish the number 1 wide receiver, you almost need Gronk or some of those tight ends to score a touchdown or two, or maybe Rojo or Flenny or Gio actually show up from a running back standpoint. But it's definitely possible. Cooper Kupp has emerged as just the clear number one on that offense, and it's very impressive. I wouldn't be shocked if we see Bobby Trees, though, have a decent game this week as defenses maybe kind of give a bit more attention to Cooper Kupp. And maybe that means Tyler Higbee too, but I like it. I like it.
Yeah. At tight end, we're going Denver. No, I'm kidding, obviously. Kansas City. And then for defense, we are going Denver. And, I mean, this is just like I think we've picked Denver all 3 weeks, but, like, this is just such a no-brainer this week. Like,
we picked LA the first week.
Oh, yes, you're correct. We did. And then last week was Denver. But, I mean, Denver's such a no-brainer this week. Like, going against Zach Wilson, who just had a terrible day against Bill Belichick's defense. They're 11-point favorites. And their defense is legitimately great. Like, they have a really, really good defense and a really, really good defensive coach. It's just, yeah, this is an easy one.
Yeah, I think the only other one that would have been in contention would have been Carolina going against QB playing his first game. I forget, is it Davis?
Davis Mills.
Yeah, Davis Mills. So unfortunately, Tyrod Taylor apparently had maybe someone stabbed his lung again. I don't know. I think he was looking too good for Houston, and they were worried that they were going to lose the number one draft pick. So making sure that no Tyrod this week with Davis Mills. But great choice. I agree. Would without a doubt be my number one. It's such a strong defense to begin with, and then 11-point favorite going against interception-prone Zach Wilson. Okay.
We've got Kevin here. Primary main event entry is 3 of 5. Don't tell people, Kevin, because then they'll just pivot off of your other two. And
he's sharp. He didn't tell us which two they aren't. But
right.
Hey, Kevin, you can also go to the marketplace and go 5 for 5. I mean, just saying, it's almost like playing with 5 jokers. Okay. Is there anything else? Is that it? Should we sign off?
I mean, I think that's pretty much it. There was, maybe I can't remember. Was there anything else?
I believe maybe one more thing. We got an announcement. I see Coop laughing in the background. Coop, should we do the announcement? Is it time? Hey, Coop, are we doing a wheel too? I just need to make sure. The people need to know. Oh, he said 1,000. I don't know if that was for the announcement or the wheel. There's the wheel. Okay. We didn't mention it earlier. We're not going to shell too much. We wanted to make sure that the people who wanted to be here, wanted to stay here, they're the ones. We'll do a wheel at the end of the show because TJ's not here, so we can do what we want. We're going to give away a card on the wheel, but we also might be giving away up to 1,000 cards, Bachman.
I'm so excited.
1,000 cards.
I can't have any of them, and I'm still so excited.
I know. $50,000 worth of cards we may be giving away, and we'd be doing it in partnership with one of our very, very loved partners, Prize Picks. So what do we have here? Prize Picks basically called us, and they're like, hey, we love what you guys are doing. We love the Owners Club. We want to pretty much just flat out go hard in the paint, score a touchdown, get a home run, hit a home run, every sports analogy or metaphor you can come up with. If you are a new user and you create an account on Prize Picks, deposit $100 or more, you're going to get $100 instant bonus cash and 2 free TOC cards. Now, there are only, unfortunately, there's like some states that you are not able to play Prize Picks. That's unfortunate. We can't do anything about it. If you go to the site, you can find out which states are allowed. If you happen to go on a trip or a cross-country line, state lines, you're going on a little road trip, whatever it is, you can enter. But it is for new users. They made this clear. Deposit $100 or more, and you are receiving basically $200 worth of value. So there's 2 free TOC cards, $100 in instant bonus cash. Make sure you use the promo code TOC. We will continue to be running our Prize Picks kind of picks and segments throughout the year. We will be in the Discord giving some of our picks there, but we are just extremely excited for when Prize Picks kind of told us that, hey, they wanted to do this for our members, for our community. It is the first 500 new users. So wanted to obviously release it here because we feel that the people who are kind of joining these shows are the ones who are our biggest supporters. Wanted to give you guys priority. Next, what we will be doing is going in the Owners Club, the gated access, and releasing it there. Want to make sure that people who unfortunately missed this show but are still members have the opportunity. Ideally, we will then, give you guys at least like 24 hours, a full day or so to sign up, enter, be those first 500 or so. And then after that, we will probably then release it to the public channels of the TOC and then probably put some tweets and stuff on social as well as in the newsletter, which is going to be going out Friday. So it starts now. I'm seeing some questions. You can immediately do it now, create the new account, deposit the $100. And then I think you just need to enter. And they were saying, I think you just need to enter, make one entry, enter one thing or something, and you'll be eligible for all this. It's big. It's big. What do you think, Bach?
It's awesome. I mean, 500 people getting 2 cards and an extra $100. So $200 in value. Inevitably, somebody's going to get a joker from it, way more than 200, but super exciting and glad we get to do this with our partner at Prize Picks. I know we've been loving working with them so far, and clearly they're fans of the idea, and I'm thrilled that we get to do this stuff.
Yeah, without a doubt. And so this will run for the next probably week or two, because we're gonna have the pre-order packs and stuff. However, I'm fully expecting us to hit that 500 pretty quickly. So that's why, hey, get in there. If you got friends and you want your friends to kind of create one with the TOC, but they don't have TOC accounts, one of two things. A, get them TOC accounts, or 2, sign up with that. And we'd be able to hook them up with 2 new cards, and you guys can figure out friend stuff about what happens with those. I think this is an awesome thing. I'm excited. We're going to continue to pump this over the next week or so, or until we get to those first 500. And we'll go from there. Producer Coop, do you want to join the stream? Let's get this wheel going. Gosh, you look so good with that purple background. What are you doing, Coop? Am I throwing you on? I know you don't have the USA gear on. That's okay, but there he is. How's it going?
No USA gear tonight for me. I wasn't informed to wear my USA gear, but yeah, absolutely pulling for the minus 190 favorites. 7 out of the last 9 had to suffer. So let's hope we can bring home a win on Sunday. And yeah,
I mean, if we don't win this one, Justin, we have to go to the next one.
Where's next one? Paris? Or did we just do Paris?
We just did Paris. I forget, but it doesn't matter. We're going.
Okay. I hope it's Ireland. I don't know. I want to go. We should have gone to this one. I want to say, so when we did go to the last one, it was 4 years ago. It was a month. It's been a month or so after Arnold Palmer passed, and being a Wake Forest guy, literally named my dog after Arnie. That was sad, but it was also a really cool experience. Had the pins for Arnie's Army. They had Arnie's Army. They had the little, they had a little special, God, I can't even talk right now. Such a good guy. It was a good time. It was really, it was a great experience. And I'm excited for this weekend. A little football on one screen, a little Ryder Cup on the other. Poker Pro Eric, do not do that. It is not Europe 15.5.
PPE was on his troll game tonight, man. PPE in the chat was trolling hard. I do love to see a good PPE troll in the chat. It's fun to see. So shout out to you tonight for being on your A game.
The thing is, he doesn't know, but when I'm hosting, I'm barely looking at chat because I've got another screen going. Like it's, he wasted his good stuff. He's got to save it for another night.
Yeah,
okay.
Too good. All right, and shout out to everyone that was chatting early in the chat. As soon as we said wheel, there was about 1 billion people that chimed in. I probably missed a bunch of people, so I'm sure we'll see. Hey, I don't see my name on the wheel, so shout out to you guys that were chatting early, and you're definitely on here. So best of luck. TOC card coming your way. DM us afterwards. And if Jake Cameron is still in the chat, Jake Cameron, hit my DMs after the show too. Best of luck, everyone.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Let's spin that wheel. All right. 4-1 TOC card. Could be a joker. Could be a New York Blue. Stan loves.
Stan loves.
Congratulations. Stan loves the Owners Club. Just Just facts on facts on fact. Congratulations, Stan. Thank you, everyone, for hanging with us tonight. This was a blast. Give that another like. We need to make sure that TJ knows that he's allowed to take a night off every once in a while if he's not feeling that well, so that we are not going to blow up everything in his absence.
Yeah, give it a like. Justin and Bach stepping in. Justin stepping into the host role tonight. Not the easiest. Called in from the bullpen. The lefty brought him in. Certainly did an absolute fine job tonight. You gentlemen look fantastic, and the show was fantastic as well. Bach, I'm always loving the research you do, bringing the people the stats, bringing the people who's favorited, by how much, what the totals are. Absolutely love the content here, boys. So shout out to you guys for a great performance tonight.
Cheers. Yes, well done, Bach. Well done, Coop, behind the scenes. Okay.
Get signed up for Prize Picks, guys.
Prize Picks. Download the app.
Going to go fast.
Add the TOC. Deposit $100, and we'll be able to. We'll figure out the back end. I think we're just going to have everyone, if they've completed it, submit, and then we'll be able to link it up on the back end with them, and we will get those cards out to you probably shortly after the next drop. So hopefully after week 3, before week 4. This was a fun one. I'm going to sign off now. So for producer Coop, who is now in front of the camera, for Bachman and Bucket Hat Bachman, and for myself, and for TJ, the Bossman, who is not here tonight, but we're still in our hearts. We got you. Goodbye, and good luck, America.